Hey, episode 77 of the Nashville Artist Podcast is now out, featuring the incredibly talented Anna Whigs, a painter renowned for her mixed media portraits and dreamscapes. Her art transcends boundaries, blending abstract realism and pop surrealism. Through landscapes, plants, and mythical creatures, she invites you to explore the realms of ambiguity and mystery. Influential bands like Sonic Youth, Pixies, the Afghan Whigs, and Dinosaur Jr. fuel her artistic fire, infusing her work with a sense of dissonance and intrigue. She draws her artistic inspiration from a realm of feelings rather than tangible subjects, eschewing the confines of actual places or people. Anna shares her admiration for artists Ian Francis and Chloe Early, whose works have left an indelible mark on her own artistic journey. Learn about Anna's pre-studio routine, revealing that a visit to the gym where she engages in deadlifts and burpees helps calm her nerves and brings her into a focused state of mind. This insight highlights the intricate relationship between physical discipline and artistic expression. Her faith in God serves as a source of inspiration, infusing her work with themes of hope and redemption. Furthermore, she shares how the loss of her mother continues to influence her art, manifesting in the exploration of struggle, rebirth, and reinvention. Enjoy the podcast episode.
This morning, I made breakfast, I did a workout, and I cleaned my house.
Nice.
So
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What did you have for breakfast?
Sausage and eggs and kind of like a health smoothie that my friend says tastes like a week-old flip-flop. It's got some various powders in it, like beet powder and things like that, and it's healthy. It's very healthy.
Nice. What was your workout?
Strength training.
Nice.
Lots of deadlifts.
Sick.
Burpees, push-ups. So I'm trying.
Get the cardio. Yeah, deadlifts. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you go to like YMCA or something, or
No, I just have a weight set at my house.
can deadlift at your house? That's awesome.
I can deadlift at my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, burpees. I've learned not to sleep on those because it's a great way to wear yourself out quick.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. 30-second intervals. It gets you.
Oh,
Um,
30-second intervals. I need to do more of those burpees. But strength training, that's awesome.
yeah,
It's awesome that you're, looking after mind, body, and soul in that way.
I try to.
I feel like that's one thing that a lot of artists neglect.
It's true.
It can be.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily too concerned about their physicality.
I agree. It's I think it's kind of sad that there's this stereotype that artists have to be mentally and physically unhealthy to create good art.
Right.
I tend to be of the opinion it's like, well, I mean, yes, you can create really good things, from dark places for sure, but it's like, well, if you're mentally and physically sound, like how much more can you create,
Yeah, much better can you do?
Yeah.
If you're can produce that much under those circumstances, I wonder how much you can produce under great circumstances.
That's exactly the way I think. Yeah. Hence the deadlifts and burpees and flip-flop flavored smoothies.
Yeah.
So
'Cause then you're painting.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll get started here.
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Anna Whigs is here. Thank you for coming over and doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and I moved to Nashville 13 years ago.
Awesome. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother and an older sister.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are they into art and music and stuff?
My sister is not, but my brother is an excellent musician. He can pick up anything in 5 minutes.
Sick. What are their names?
Rick and Angie.
Rick and Angie.
Mhm.
Are they back in Alabama?
Yes, my sister lives in Fairhope, Alabama, and my brother actually lives really nearby in Nashville.
Oh, awesome.
So it's nice to have him close.
Does he have a band here?
No, I wish he did.
He's
I would
just
play in it.
really talented.
Yeah.
Play a lot of different stuff.
He's super talented.
That's awesome. What about your parents? Were they into art and music?
Not so much. My mom played piano. She enjoyed playing, but she never really, wrote songs necessarily. She was always very supportive of us, though. She supported my brother and his music, and me and art and music. So
That's awesome. So, what were you into as a little kid?
oh boy, I was kind of a weird little kid. I was definitely into my brother's band. That was my first taste of rock and roll, and I would he would play in my parents' basement, and so I would hold my head down to the floor just so I could hear them playing. And kind of idolized him a bit. And then I was really into animals of all kinds. I wasn't really allowed to have too many dogs or cats, so pretty much whatever I could catch, I could keep. So I had all these lizards and frogs and stuff in my room.
Wow.
Yeah, and um, I've been drawing since I was 2, and I really loved video games too. So I was kind of a little nerd.
That's awesome. What video games did you play?
I played a lot of Mario, Donkey Kong for sure. Um, there's one I'm going to show my nerdy side here. I think it was Dragon Warrior was the one that got me into role playing games.
Ah.
So yeah, like I said, I was a weird little kid. I didn't have many friends.
What console did you play these on?
Mostly Nintendo.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
64?
Oh, just plain Nintendo,
plain
actually. Donkey Kong, I would play on my friend's console. So, yeah.
Nice. That's amazing. Frogs and lizards.
Yes.
You just had them in like little cages or like little aquarium type things.
Yeah, like I had my sister was into keeping fish, and so we had a couple of like spare fish tanks, and um yeah, I just remember catching a bunch of lizards and keeping them in there. And yeah, eventually my mom made me release them, but it was fun for a while.
They're like, Anna, your room smells terrible.
It actually didn't.
Oh, really? Because of all the lizards and stuff?
No, like surprisingly, it didn't smell bad. Like my mom made me, keep the cage clean and everything. So yeah, it wasn't too bad as far as smell goes. And plus, I have a sensitive nose. I'm a little bit funny about smells too.
Nice.
But so yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, what first got you into painting, music, and art?
Honestly, as far as painting goes, I was like 2 years old when I picked that up. I remember that, my mom literally just gave me like a pad and a pencil, because I was bored, and told me just to start drawing. And she looked at it when I was done and she was like, well, this is actually pretty good. So then she got me some crayons and markers, and it kind of continued on from there. And I was mostly into drawing people. I've been drawing people since a young age. And as I got older, and when the internet came into existence and stuff, I started researching some classes and YouTube videos, on how to do all of that. And when I really, I remember the time when I really took it seriously was actually a band I was in. we needed some album art for our CD, and we couldn't really afford to pay anybody. So they were like, well, you know how to draw, you do this. So I made the album artwork for that, and they loved it, and it got a really good response. So after that, I got a little bit more interested in art, taking it a little bit more seriously and not just as a hobby.
Nice. What were like some early influences? Like, was there music wise or art wise when you were a little
Yeah,
kid that influenced all that?
definitely. Like, honestly, I didn't know too many famous painters when I was a kid, but musically, I was really into like a lot of 80s and 90s alternative rock. Dinosaur Jr., um, Afghan Whigs, Sonic Youth, Pixies, bands like that. And they had a really big influence on me. Um, and I would listen to that while I was painting, and it would inspire me.
Nice. So, you got into music at the same time, or like you were painting before you got into music?
That's right.
When
Yeah.
did you start getting into music, or how did that?
I think I was 13 when I started playing guitar. And my mom got me some lessons. Um, my brother bought me a guitar, and so I began playing then. Um, yeah, I took lessons for a couple of years. I was really kind of lazy about it. The teacher I had, he was a very nice man, but just into entirely different kinds of music than what I was into. So there was a little bit of a gap, I guess, in taste. So it was hard for me to take much more than like scales and basic chords from him. But it gave me a good foundation. So
Nice. So when you started out, was that like in school? You said you took lessons with a teacher. How did your art and stuff come about?
in school, so I my mom homeschooled me from second grade on. I was having a lot of problems with. There were some issues with the teachers, like very long story there. Issues with teachers. I was getting bullied. They were turning a blind eye to it. And she decided to homeschool me. So the cool thing about being homeschooled is that without all of the breaks, lunch, recess, all these things, you're at home, you get your work done a lot faster. And so, it took me about 5 hours to finish my schoolwork for the day. And then I would spend the rest of my time playing guitar, video games, painting. So,
Nice.
so yeah.
Awesome. So, how would you say you're drawn to art and music?
To me, it's I've always been a little bit more on the reserved side with people, and art and music are forms of communication for me. Like it's easier for me to communicate something with a picture or with a song than it is to write about it. Like, authors, they have the art of language, and I don't really feel like that's my strong suit. So it's like I can convey an emotion or an idea with a song or a painting a lot easier than I can verbally.
Awesome. Do you have like now? Do you have like routines for your art, or how do you go about developing your artistic skills?
Developing skills. One thing that I've begun to do is if I have an idea for a painting, I will do a sketch first of the idea, and I'll experiment with a lot of different things within the sketch. And I do have a couple of artist friends who I will run things by for critiques, and I really appreciate their advice and insight. Um, as far as growing goes, there's some artists I follow on YouTube, um, and I try to observe, their painting process, and certainly not steal, their style at all. But we're all learning, so it's like I like to, kind of look at what they're doing and what is it that makes their process so cool, and how can I implement, um, some of their techniques into what I'm doing. just through observing. As far as routines go, before I go to my studio, I oftentimes will do a workout. It helps me relax, gets the nervous energy out. I'll say a prayer, I'll drink my coffee, and then I just put on my headphones and I start painting.
Nice. What's been influencing your art a lot lately?
Ooh, I would say that definitely the theme of struggle and rebirth and kind of like reinvention has been the main force behind it lately. Last year was a struggle for me. I was very close to my mom. You probably picked up on that, and she passed away last year. Um, and that it was heartbreaking, and I kind of had to. I didn't realize how much of an influence that she had on my style and how I did my art, and I actually kind of had to take a break from my traditional subject matter for a while, and I was doing more studies like on plants, landscapes, um, mythical creatures, just stuff that I didn't typically do as much. Um, and recently, I kind of had an epiphany, and I kind of had like it's hard to explain, but I just hit that point where it's like I miss her every day and I love her deeply, but I'm able to move forward now. I'm not moving on, but I'm moving forward, I guess. And I'm able to kind of return to a lot of the elements and that I had in my art before and a lot of the subject matter that it was really hard for me to do that when I was in the midst of grief, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense, because it reminded me too much of her. And I find that now that I'm able to kind of come back to it full circle, um, it's like it's better. I feel like it's looser, it's bolder. Um, it's not quite as, I would say it's not quite as planned out. It's a little bit more intuitive. Um, and it's almost like my style, but just it's better and it's a little bit more grown up in a sense. And so I guess the meaning behind my art usually comes from, more like how I'm feeling in the process and the process itself, turning chaos into beauty. And, I joke that my paintings are really, really ugly for about 90% of the time until like just those last finishing touches are usually when they all come together. And so I guess the body of work that I'm doing now, that's kind of the theme is struggle and rebirth and kind of like a reinvention of sorts.
Nice. Awesome. Do you like nowadays, who would you say like your favorite artists of all time are?
Ooh, that's a good one. My two favorite artists are Ian Francis and Chloe Early. They just have this, I don't even know how to describe their style. It's like they blend um, a lot of realistic elements with some really surrealistic imagery and abstract stuff. And it's unlike anything I've seen. Have you heard of them?
Mm,
Yeah, definitely check them out.
yeah, I'll check them out.
Yeah.
What kind of you are they like more portrait painters or landscapes or what? Like,
They do a lot of figurative work. So there's portraits. They'll they'll do a lot of figurative work. It's usually very dreamlike. It almost looks like the only way I know how to describe it is it's almost like that feeling when you're kind of asleep, but you're also awake, and you're in kind of like a dream state, but you're still a little bit coherent, and that's what their paintings feel like to me.
oh,
So it's really really cool.
okay, yeah. What about musicians or music? Who are your favorite bands or artists in that realm?
Yeah, I listen to a lot. That's really hard for me to narrow down.
I guess several of them, or
I would say one of my favorites would be Purling Hiss. They're kind of like you can definitely hear Jimi Hendrix in their work, I would say. Um, like the guitars are really crunchy, and their album Water on Mars is one of my all-time favorite albums. Um, see, who else am I listening to? Tess Parks for sure. She's really good. Kind of like a modern day Mazzy Star sound. And there's this, as far as like modern day, Radkey is a really good band. They have kind of like an old school punk feel to them. So those are the three that I'm listening to right now. And Sleigh Bells. I forgot about Sleigh Bells.
Sleigh Bells.
Yeah.
I saw them a couple of years ago.
I missed that show. I wanted to go so bad.
It was at Bonnaroo 2010.
Oh, wait. I thought they played at Basement East as well. Did you go to that show?
I mean, I have only seen them once, and that was at Bonnaroo.
Okay.
Like 14 years ago.
I've heard they're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a different style. It's very in your face, but then it's like almost dubsteppy, but it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you heard of RTX or Royal Trucks? Okay, they almost remind me a little bit of Royal Trucks RTX.
Okay.
Yeah, they have kind of a similar sound.
I'll have to listen to Sleigh Bells again. It's been a long time since I've listened to them, but
yeah, I love
just
them.
remember when they kind of came out, and like their sound was just different.
Yeah.
But also like very in your face, but also not. I don't know. Yeah.
It almost sounds like if cheerleaders were doing rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So what kind of materials do you use in your mixed media art?
I usually start with some high flow acrylics. And I just sort of create like a base layer of that. I don't like working on just a pure white canvas. From there, I will add charcoals, pastels, spray paints. Sometimes I use collage, acrylics, and I finish almost everything in oil.
Wow, I like that you don't like a white canvas.
Yeah, it's like this weird pressure. You don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
So if you just go ahead and mess it up, then the pressure's off and you can do whatever you want.
Nice. What typical like background colors do you usually use, or
I'm really I always use red. I don't know what it is, but I always use red.
like any kind of tone of red, just
like bright, very bright in your face, like cad red. So
nice. Okay, and like we talked a little bit about your guitar playing. Do you?
mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you still play that
yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, I was out of it for a few years, and I just recently picked it up again and started writing again. It feels really good.
Nice. What is that kind of practice or routine, or how do you develop that?
Very similar, honestly. Like sometimes before I start playing, particularly if I'm trying to write a song, I have a few songs I'll listen to where it's like, okay, I love this element of the song, whether it's the guitar playing or the vocals, the production. And it's almost like that'll be sort of like the standard I hold myself to, if that makes any sense. And it's also just inspiring, to hear musicians that I love, just hearing, okay, like I may not have half the talent they do, but yeah, like it gives you ideas, it gets the ball rolling.
Channeling it, kind of.
A little bit, yeah. And it's very similar to my art process besides that. I oftentimes will work out just to get any nervousness out. I'm a perfectionist, so I've got to get those jitters out. And yeah, I'll pray, have a healthy meal, and play guitar.
Nice. Yeah, working out is great. Helps me stay calm.
Yeah, and focused too.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you can do one thing for a really long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this earlier, but what would you say overall your art represents?
My art represents, I would say, that creative identity, or creativity and how it relates to identity. Growing up, like that was like I would create a lot more than I would really enjoy talking or playing with other kids. And I was a little bit of a social outcast. And I think the good side of that is that, it made me channel, a lot of that loneliness or, feeling like I was rejected, into something good where it's like I was creating something and I had a voice. I had something these other kids didn't have. And I think a lot of people, like, that's why I paint portraits, in all honesty, is because, I feel like it's not like I'm trying to paint, like a pop culture icon or someone famous. It's more like I'm trying to create like a persona that people relate to, um, and, definitely the idea of like struggle and rebirth. And what's really cool is oftentimes the people who really are into my art, they pick up on the meaning of each individual piece, like if it's meant for them. Like I recently sold a painting to this lady, and she said that she kind of thought she knew what the painting was about, but she wasn't 100% positive, and she just wanted to hear the story about it. And I told her, well, this was actually the painting that broke my artist block, that I've had this last year. And I started out, I was really frustrated, and I was angry, and I was hurting and grieving. And I finally just took the pressure off, and I was like, I'm just going to go back, and I'm just going to go back to the subject matter that I know I love and what I'm good at, and I'm going to face that grief. And so I started painting this portrait, and it just flowed through me. And slowly that pain and frustration and anger, it melted away when I realized, whoa, like this is some of my best work that I've ever done, and it's coming together so quick. And, just she kind of knew what that individual painting was about. And she was like, I felt, like I'm in the same spot, like I'm in a rut. I can't go back to the past as much as I may want to, but I feel stuck and I don't know what the future looks like. So this painting, is kind of like, it's giving me hope, it's like you came out of it, so I can too. And it's like, now that's a reminder for her when she looks at it. And I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, I would say that, like, again, struggle and rebirth, turning chaos into beauty. Those are the themes in my artwork.
Nice. Okay. What is your dream portrait to create? Like,
Oh,
if you could have all the time, resources and everything, what would be your
hmm.
favorite thing to do?
Um,
Hold on one second.
that's a really good question.
Pour some more coffee. Would you like some more coffee?
I think I'm good, thank you. Um, I would say that as far as, do you mean like how I would, excuse me, sorry, how I would want to improve it, or like how to grow,
Or anything that, like, I don't know. I guess with painting, you can easily have all the materials you need to create whatever you want, but I guess a portrait or even music or anything, that would be like, you could do anything, create whatever, however expensive or however whatever you needed.
I think honestly, as far as the resources,
Like, it's not like a giant portrait or something, or
I do like working big, actually. Like, I would say my happy size is probably like 36 by 48 inches. That's my favorite size to work on. And I'm actually finishing up on one right now that's about that size. It's hard for me to, I guess it's kind of hard for me to say what my dream portrait would be, because I'm really blessed to have all of the resources and materials that I need right now. And I definitely think of ways I want to grow. Like I want to kind of lean even more into being more intuitive and just, I guess almost like being more guided with my artwork instead of feeling sometimes I feel pressured or perfectionist. I guess that's something I know is going to help me grow in the future, is to continue letting that perfectionism, just let it go away and not worry about that, but instead just to create with more feeling. And so I think that's what really shows through, like perfectionism myth anyway, in music and in art. One band I really like a lot, they're called Starflyer 59. The lead singer once said something to the effect of, his goal is to make this perfect pop song. And so he grows with each album, and with each song, but he knows that it's sort of like an illusion. He's never going to actually make that song, but it's actually really hopeful for him in a sense, because if you did reach that, what would you do?
Right.
It's like you wouldn't have any reason to create anymore. So you've always got to keep chasing that carrot, so to speak,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on, I guess. It's just being more intuitive and dreaming bigger and almost being more open to ideas, because I don't even know exactly what that looks like right now, but I'm trying to get closer to it every day.
Nice. Yeah. Today we're perfect. There would be no need for tomorrow.
Exactly. Well put.
I had a friend who had that tattooed on his back.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a good reminder.
With like a Coca-Pelli. And I was like, wow, just because it's tattooed on you, I like won't forget that.
Yeah. I mean, what better use for a tattoo?
Right. Okay, so what would you say, this is kind of along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, but what would you say inspires your creativity?
What inspires me? There's a few things. I mentioned musically, of course. Music can definitely just sort of create a mood for me, and can kind of influence the colors I use. Um, this isn't popular, and I don't know how well accepted it will be, but honestly, my faith in God is probably the biggest inspiration for me. Just the themes and the ways I've grown in the last 20 years, over grieving, a lot of things that are a little bit more personal I probably couldn't share publicly, but just healing, from some trauma and overcoming some things like that. Like I would say the biggest thing to me is, like, I guess the idea that no matter what kind of, pain you've been through or trauma you've been through, there's hope and there is redemption. Like anything that any pain point in your life, like on the other side of that pain, like that's your superpower is waiting for you on the other side of that pain. Um, it's like, for when I was growing up, I was really lonely and I was bullied a lot. And now that I'm on the other side of that, you know, the good thing about that is I don't really give a damn what other people think. And, I mean, and I don't mean that in like a bad way. I mean, like if someone doesn't like what I have to say, then, you know, unless I really did say something out of line and I, was hurtful to them, I don't really have any regrets. And then, just that independence and kind of like a deep rooted confidence, not necessarily like I'm the best, but just that I don't have to have the approval of others to keep moving forward. That was the good thing, of being bullied through childhood and not having too many friends, like that's the good side of that. And I think that a lot of the things that we struggle with that we think, that they're the end and really they're just the beginning. It's more like these are cards that you're being dealt, but just see what you can do with them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, being bullied and stuff and being lonely can actually draw you closer to God or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then using that to be like, I'm not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's someone always with me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, on the other side of the negative is your superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you use this in your favor?
Exactly. Like there's always a plot twist somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So, how would you best describe the type of artist you are?
I would say kind of a blend of abstract realism, pop surrealism. I would say that I kind of ride the line between those two.
Abstract realism and abstract surrealism? Or
Probably abstract realism, and I've heard someone else told me that my work had elements of pop surrealism, and I could see that a little bit.
would pop surrealism be kind of like Andy Warhol?
A little bit, or have you heard of Eva Ritamonti?
Uh-uh.
She's a really cool artist. She does these. I'm normally not a fan of digital art, but she does these illustrations digitally. She also works just with ink sometimes. Actually, Ian Francis and Chloe Early, the artists I mentioned earlier, they definitely have some pop surrealism influences as well.
Nice. Okay, what would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist are?
My weaknesses are definitely being over analytical, overworking a piece. That's something I really, in my latest body of work, I'm basically stopping about 2 steps before I think I'm done, just to let it breathe, because I tend to overwork things a lot. And something I realize is those marks and those imperfections, or even just perceived imperfections, are oftentimes what's making your art special. So you need to leave that there, just let it be. So yeah, I would say overanalyzing, overworking a piece, getting too inward and kind of just beating yourself up. Someone told me one time that, when you're constantly focused on the negative aspects of your art style or your temperament or whatever it may be, if you're focused too much on the negative things about yourself, it's basically a form of narcissism. And that really stuck with me. So those are the 3 things I'm trying to work on. Basically just get out of my head and not worry so much about the outcome or how I'm coming across, because honestly, most people don't care nearly as much about you as you think they do.
Right.
My strengths would be I'm definitely very creative. I can come up with some really wild imagery that people either get it or they don't. But say what you will, but my work is very creative. And I'm very disciplined, which you don't really necessarily think of, being an artist, being an artist and being disciplined, is necessarily going together, but it definitely does. Like there's this, myth that, inspiration and creativity have to strike you and then you just follow it. And that's not, yeah, they do sometimes, but honestly, inspiration is something that you can create yourself. You don't have to just wait for it. Um, and so honestly, like that is something that I'm grateful that my mom instilled in me growing up, was discipline, showing up when you don't feel like it. And even if it's like I don't feel like going in my studio every day, but even if it's 15 minutes, oftentimes just that 15 minutes, after that I get in the mood and creativity does hit me. A lot quicker than it would if I was just sitting at home eating donuts and watching Netflix. So, so those are my strengths.
Yeah, you gotta strike to make the iron hot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you said you've been here 13 years?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you said? What initially brought you here?
A couple of things. So officially, what brought me here was a job. I groomed, or I still am a part-time dog groomer. And I started grooming dogs when I was 18. And I really wanted to move to Nashville. I loved the music scene here at the time, not necessarily so much the country, but more like the underground music scene, like Jeff the Brotherhood, Bully, Pujol. There was all this, just this mecca of these awesome garage bands here. And I kind of just felt the pull. And I was kind of coming out of a bad relationship at the time, and I just sort of wanted a fresh start. Um, and so I applied for a dog grooming job, just to see if I could get any bites. And the next day they called me and they wanted me here in 3 weeks. So I was here pretty quick after that. So, yeah.
Wow. What is something you've learned living here?
One thing, I would say the biggest thing I've learned living here is that um, success does not just fall in your lap. You have to work for it. I think when I was in Birmingham, like I had this idea that everything was just going to magically fall into place for me when I moved here. And it was a very naive assumption. And I remember I just thought it was going to be easy for me to, find my place in the music scene and make friends. And it's like, no, it was actually really hard. I had to work full time to support myself, and I was too tired to go out and network with people. And, the people I did want to network with, they didn't know me from Adam. So, like, what have I got to offer them? And I would say that's the biggest thing I learned, was like, you have to prove yourself. Like, you don't really necessarily deserve anything. You have to prove yourself and be patient. The results will show up.
Right, don't be entitled.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a favorite venue here?
Yeah. Well, actually, my favorite venue is long gone. Did you ever go to the Zombie Shop?
The Zombie Shop?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No, okay. It was actually a motorcycle shop by day, but then it was like this amazing DIY music venue by night. And they had all these motorcycles just like hanging from the ceiling, and
Wow.
these string lights everywhere. I mean, it was amazing. And they got shut down.
What part of town?
It was in, okay, I think it was Midtown. It's been a while. I think it was Midtown. I'm pretty sure. It was really close to, it was near the Mercy Lounge, where the Mercy Lounge was.
Oh, okay.
And currently, I would say that my favorite venue is Basement East.
Basement East? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I go see everybody.
Awesome. What about like art venue or gallery or anything like that? Do you have a favorite one of those here?
Yeah, actually, my friend Kathleen has a gallery called Red 225, and it's in the Wedgwood, Houston neighborhood. Her gallery is awesome. She always has a cool roster of artists, and she's a really cool person too. So, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out.
Yeah, check that out.
Definitely Rock Wall Gallery as well.
Rock Wall Gallery.
Mhm.
Okay. I have not heard of that one.
Yeah, they're in the Wedgwood, Houston neighborhood. And there's like a monthly art crawl first Saturday of every month. And they usually have a pretty good selection of artists there.
I might have been there before. Maybe not.
I actually have a painting at Red 225 right now. So
Nice.
if you go to the art crawl,
I'll check it out.
yeah.
I'm assuming Kathleen is also an artist. Is
Yeah, she's a musician, actually.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So do you have like a favorite restaurant or food here in town?
Oh man.
Or several?
I love food. I'm very food motivated. I would say like New York pizza, like just nothing fancy. I don't want broccoli on my pizza. Just, straight up New York style pizza. And NY Pie is awesome. They're in West Nashville on Charlotte. There's also a really good like Middle Eastern restaurant that's close to where I live. It's called House of Kebab. It's awesome. sometimes the lighting on the lettering for their sign goes out. So it might say House of Bob or Hoe of Bob, it depends on the day. But just look for it. It's on the corner of Thompson and Nolensville.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So, what is some advice you'd give to someone who's going to move here and do art or music or anything?
I would say that just two things. Work on your craft, whatever it is, every day. Be open to constructive criticism, like from people who know what you're about, they know what you're trying to do. And take criticism from them, disregard the rest. And the best way to meet people here, and I'm grateful this is still the case after all these years, is just to go out, show up, be friendly. Don't try to just say, oh, let me show you my demo. Here, let me show you my art. Like, show up at their events, talk to them, and be sincere about it. And it does circle back.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, reflecting back on when you first started as an artist, what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome, and how did you get through it?
I would say, honestly, the biggest challenge I've had to overcome is like my own ego masked as insecurity. Like, kind of going back to a little bit of what I was saying earlier, you think that you may have, like, we think that narcissism and ego, like they're only people who are really proud of themselves and full of themselves. But if you're constantly worried about what people think about you, or you're sensitive to criticism, that's a form of ego too. And I think that the last few years, I've gotten a lot better at receiving constructive criticism and actually seeking it out from people that I trust, and knowing, that they want me to be better. They want me to succeed. And after that, like, after you do the very best that you can, don't worry about it. Just stop worrying what people think. Just be authentic and sincere. The people, like, your people will find you.
Yeah.
And the people that don't accept you, you just don't worry about it. You don't have to hate on them or worry about what they think. They're not your people, so don't worry about it. And I would say that's something that I've overcome.
Yeah, those that care or those that matter do care, and those that don't, you don't need to worry about them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So from last year to this year, we kind of talked about this earlier, but what is one of your biggest personal growths from last year to this year?
I would say that, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. What I was talking about earlier with, like, your superpower and your joy is on the other side of your pain. This last year was absolutely heartbreaking, and when you lose someone that you're so close to, it wreaks havoc not only on your mental state but also your health. Like, I've struggled a lot with my health this last year, and being very much perfectionist, I would beat up on myself because I wasn't performing as much, and things were slipping through the cracks. And I would say that something that this last year, I would say the biggest thing has just been receiving grace, from God, from others, forgiving myself, and kind of letting go of that pride that, like, you're going to show up and be 100% every day. Some days are just going to be bad, and that's all there is to it. But also, like, with that acceptance of knowing there's going to be bad days and there's going to be times that are really, really hard, like, having that true belief, not just the idea that there's good on the other side, but having, like, really believing that you'll come out on the other side, and that there's possibility that you'll actually be better for it. Whatever, you're struggling with. I've learned that firsthand this last year. Like, I've seen things turn around like pretty much overnight in some situations, and yeah, just like whatever you're going through, just hang in there. Like, nothing, just like nothing good ever lasts forever, nothing bad ever lasts for forever either. The storm, it will pass. So just having that peace.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So how can people support you as an artist?
Buy my work. Okay. If you're like very many people who are struggling financially and you can't buy my work, sign up for my email list. I'm actually going to do a promo where I'll be giving out a free print for anyone who does sign up on my email list. And that's on my website. Follow me on socials. Support me there. There's lots of free ways to support artists. Show up and go view my art. So,
Yeah. Tell your friends about it.
yeah, tell your friends.
And if, say, someone wanted to help you financially, do you have like a Patreon, or like, if someone wanted to donate money to your art, how would they do that?
So I don't have a Patreon. This year, one of my goals is going to be kind of offering, like, doing a Patreon, but doing it kind of in exchange for classes. But I have not done that yet. So honestly, this is just me. I do not push this on other people at all. I'm a little funny about accepting money from people if there's not an exchange. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, if you want to support me financially, then go to my website, look at something in your price range, or if there's something you would like, that you don't see on my website. I am about to start taking commissions again. I haven't taken them for about a year. So yeah, if you support me financially, you will get something in return.
Okay, awesome. Okay, now changing areas here. How do you like to consume media? Do you like movies, YouTube? Do you have like favorite things you like to watch on YouTube?
Yeah. Oh man, like, it's all over the place. I'm trying to narrow it down. I may have to pull my phone out for this. I watch anything from, like, the problem is that I don't really follow like a specific person. It's more like I follow topics.
Yeah.
So lately I have been watching some videos on foraging and gardening. And actually, they are a Nashville business called the High Garden. They used to have a tea shop in East Nashville. Yeah, I used to go there all the
time. Yeah.
Um,
The elixirs in the back you could drink at the bar.
Yes.
Man.
The little mocktails. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that.
I know.
There was no other place that did that.
I know. I mean, I understand why they aren't. I know that they have a business outside of their house, or run by their house, but man, I wish they would open up a shop again. Like, I miss them so bad.
And the little incense in your drink.
Yeah.
You drink it and you can
drinking
smell
incense. Like, nothing better.
Man.
Yeah, and she was I talked with Leah, one of the owners, a few times, and she was like the most authentic and sincere person. Like, I remember one time my mom had COPD, and one time my mom went in there with me, just looking, for like a lung tonic, and Leah was so kind and so sweet to my mom, and that would always go a long way with me. So yeah, just a really genuine person.
Nice. Do you have any like favorite movies or anything like that?
Yeah, my top 3 would be Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Back to the Future, and At Close Range.
What about books and stuff? Do you like to read?
I do sometimes. The most recent book I read was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And it sounds ridiculous, but it was a really good book.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That's like the book that I think a psychologist or someone wrote on gnomes.
Really?
It's like a coffee table book all about gnomes.
That sounds really
and
interesting.
it's like thick, and it's like, how does this person know so much about gnomes?
I would love to have that on my coffee table. That sounds like a book I would have.
But like the fact that there's one about fairies, like I'm sure it's very in depth too, right?
Yeah, like it's a cool thing because like she does make it almost like, oh, you're reading about all these different fairies, and obviously it's a it's a work of fiction. But yeah, I feel like if I share anything about the book, it would spoil it.
Oh,
But it's definitely worth a read.
nice.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to add that I might not have asked you about?
Um Honestly, you're great at what you do. I can't really think of anything.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, here's the last question.
Okay.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Uh I really love the Muppets.
The Muppets.
Yes. I okay, so funny story. I'm a lightweight and I really cannot handle my liquor. And I remember I had a bushwhacker one time at a restaurant. Had no idea how strong it was. And I realized I was drunk when without even realizing what I was doing, and I was not even in control of myself. I looked at the waitress and I said, I really love the Muppets. And yeah, my friend drove me home. Yeah.
What did the waitress do? Like,
She was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then she looked at my friend and she was like, "You are driving her home, right?" She was very nice. I tipped her well.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really love the Muppets?
Muppets from Space is the best.
Muppets from Space.
Yeah.
Is the absurd thing you were mentioning that you got drunk and said that to someone, or is it that you like the Muppets?
Kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, just like Gonzo from the Muppets, I have a bunch of chickens.
Oh.
So yeah, I live in Woodbine and I have a bunch of chickens.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
You have
they
a
all
little farm in your neighborhood.
basically, yeah, it's like a little micro farm in the middle of like an urban area.
Nice. I love seeing those.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll drive by certain people's houses, and in their backyard they have a chicken coop, and it's like a normal neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's like your little taste of agriculture in the city.
Exactly. Like that's kind of what we're going for. We have a garden, or we're working on our garden. We have our chickens. We plan on getting a mini cow at some point.
Wow.
So yeah,
a mini cow.
a mini cow.
What is it like? How does that differ? I mean, I'm assuming it's smaller than a regular cow, but
yeah, it's like the size of a large dog.
What?
Yeah. And anyway, I love cows.
And it doesn't grow from there?
No, it gets to be.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, look it up. They are
mini
adorable.
cow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's going to happen sometime in the next couple of years.
It's wild to think that cows were not native here.
Yeah.
They were brought here from Europe.
I know, it's insane to think about.
And you don't really think of cows as being that exotic. You see it everywhere, and so.
Well, yeah, it's so commonplace, and they don't exactly look like exotic animals, but yeah, they're adorable. I love cows.
Man, I love cows. Okay, Emma, well, thank you for coming over and doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Awesome.